I think the 2025-2026 season will go down as a season of sacking managers because in the Premier League, there's been plenty of that going around. As we speak, Sean Dyche was shown the exit at Nottingham Forest as their third manager in the season. This followed a goalless draw between Nottingham Forest and Wolverhampton Wanderers, a team that finished seventh last season, is now fighting against relegation because they sit only about 4 points above the relegation zone following that goalless draw with Wolverhampton Wanderers on the Premier League's match day 26. Welcome back to the Football Tribe UG channel. Robert Kesakos is my name. I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you so much for all our new subscribers that have recently joined the community. And to our usual suspects, I say thank you so much for always choosing to be part of our conversations. Well, today we will explore why, Sean Dyche was shown the exit, what is going on at Nottingham Forest. For starters, like I said, it's been a season of managerial changes. Nottingham Forest opened that can of worms after only 3 games in the Premier League season during the first international break back in September. They sacked Nuno Espirito Santo, hired former Tottenham manager in Ange Postecoglou, who only lasted 8 games, winning none, drawing 2 and losing 6. So he was shown the exit. The impatience of Evangelis Marinakis seems to have extended to now another one in Sean Dyche, who was appointed on a 2.5-year contract. Well, he too was shown the exit in the aftermath of that goalless draw with Wolves. The question is, who will be next at Wolverhampton Wanderers? According to latest rumors, Wolves are interested in hiring according to latest rumors, Nottingham Forest are interested in hiring former Wolves manager Vitor Pereira. According to The Athletic, they say Nottingham Forest have identified Vitor Pereira as a strong candidate to replace Sean Dyche and become their 4th manager of the season. Pereira has been out of work since he was sacked by Wolverhampton Wanderers in December after failing to win any of their first 10 Premier League games. Yes, he was sacked and replaced by then Middlesbrough manager Rob Edwards. Has it worked for Rob Edwards? No, only 1 win since then. That's what, in about 16 games? I mean, it hasn't worked out for him either. So it's been that kind of season where managers have been sacked left, right, and center. But Nottingham Forest have started the show because they've now sacked 3 managers in the course of a single campaign. Nuno Espirito Santo, Ange Postecoglou, and subsequently Sean Dyche. Well, the other culprits have been Enzo Maresca at Chelsea. But before Enzo Maresca at Chelsea, there was Graham Potter at West Ham, who was replaced by Nuno Espirito Santo. So then you have Enzo Maresca, you have Ruben Amorim was sacked on the 5th of January. After that, you go to Scotland, where Celtic sacked their manager, and then just days later, you had Xabi Alonso part ways with Real Madrid. After that, Roberto Di Zerbi stepped down or part ways on mutual consent with Olympique Marseille on the 10th of February, and just a day later, Thomas Frank was shown the exit at Tottenham Hotspur. A day after that, it was the day of reckoning for Sean Dyche. He was shown the exit at Nottingham Forest. Now, for starters, Evangelis Marinakis, the owner of Nottingham Forest, has been quite erratic in his decisions. First of all, he went and hired his friend, Edu Gaspar Daoud, the former Arsenal sporting and technical director, as the head of global football at Nottingham Forest, among his other clubs. The two did not see eye to eye with Nuno Espirito Santo. Nuno Espirito Santo's relationship had grown apart with the owner, Evangelis Marinakis, ever since the coming in of Edu Gaspar Daoud. He spoke quite openly in the media about how the relationship had grown apart, that he was no longer speaking to his boss as often as he used to. Now, whereas Nuno Espirito Santo, some argue, including I, that he literally talked himself out of a job, it goes without saying that their relationship wasn't broken beyond irreparable damage. It wasn't broken beyond repair, beyond, salvaging. Because I still think and maintain that Nuno Espirito Santo was the right man for the job at Nottingham Forest. Well, they say the rest is history. He was sacked. Ever since then, all the options they've gotten have not been convincing enough. As we speak, Nottingham Forest have a date with Fenerbahce in the playoffs of the UEFA Europa League, a competition they emerged into after Crystal Palace were downgraded from the UEFA Europa League to the UEFA Conference League for being found in breach of dual, ownership, club ownership, because they are then a shareholder or co-owner. An American businessman called John was also the owner of Lyon. So they lost that case, even in the Court of Arbitration for Sport. They got downgraded to that. So Sean Dyche comes in and is equally being shown the exit. So what next for Nottingham Forest? I don't think that if there are any managers there with open for work, I'm not sure that this Nottingham Forest kind of job is one to be too enthusiastic about. Is one that you eagerly look forward to, because anything can happen with the Greek bossman. Any day can be a sacking day. Of course, results have not gone their way in the Premier League, including the fact that they sit only a place above the relegation zone with only 3 points ahead of West Ham, with West Ham at 24 points, and they do have 27. So in other words, not the performances on the pitch, nor the results have been to Sean Dyche's side. His team struggled for form. And it showed. Well, he was shown the exit. The big question is, who can take on the mantle? Like I keep reminding the world, that for a team of Nottingham Forest who showed that they do have the resources, because over the summer they spent more than £200 million on signing players like Danny Ndoye, players like Douglas Luiz, who they brought in on loan from Juventus but has since left the club to join Aston Villa on loan. Players like Omari Hudson, who they brought from Ipswich Town. They brought in so many players to try and get that huge bump, that huge step forward, but it hasn't worked out that way. Obviously, it hasn't. So much so that they had to go to Napoli and get Lorenzo Luca on loan. They are desperate for results, but results continue to elude them. So it's not been pretty for Ange Postecoglou. And for me, it's no surprise that he was shown the exit. The question is, who is the next Premier League manager that could be shown the exit? I have my bets on Ed Howe at Newcastle and Arne Slot. Now, their sacking may be different. It could come at the very end of the season, when the season is done. Those two respective teams in Newcastle and Liverpool could decide to part ways with them, because there's nothing they've done this season, particularly in the Premier League, to suggest that they are a serious team, unless they can salvage their reputation by going deep in the UEFA Champions League, where both are still competing. Anyways, do let me know what your thoughts are on that news and more from the Premier League about the sacking of Nuno Espirito Santo as the Nottingham Forest manager.